In 2016, Luke Rockhold was one of the most technically sound fighters and at the time champion of the middleweight division, finishing an undefeated Chris Weidman for the title, Lyoto Machida, and of course Michael Bisping in their first fight. But after that, for his first title defense against Bisping, Bisping hit him with a beautiful left hook and cleaned him up with the ground and pound. And ever since that fight, Rockhold's MMA career pretty much went down the drain. After that, he fought Yoel Romero, got flatlined by him, then moved up to light heavyweight and got flatlined by Jan Blachowicz a year later. Then he fought Paulo Costa, which, yes, against Paulo Costa, they were in Salt Lake City with the high altitude. So that basically killed everyone on the card, including both Costa and Luke Rockhold. Killed everyone except Kamaru Usman, who got killed in other ways. But Rockhold just looked like a shadow of his former self in that fight in comparison to the champion that he once was. And I honestly think that it was a perfect moment to call a career against Costa. He had the big fuck you moment and hit Costa clean and then rubbed blood all over his face. And it was definitely memorable. But then he goes over to BKFC, bare knuckle, and gets his teeth caved in by Mike Perry. Literally. And Luke, honestly, he just doesn't seem like he wants to stop fighting at this point in time. I mean, even with the damage that he's taking. But if he doesn't be smart about the fights that he picks, then his career and his health are going to go down the drain, just like his MMA career has gone down the drain. And I think that is where Karate Combat does come in. When we look at Karate Combat, I mean, he had just beat Joe Schilling in Karate Combat, which was his debut, where he looked amazing. He was piecing Schilling up on the outside and knocked him out cold with a hook. And when we look at Karate Combat as an organization, I mean, it's definitely on the rise at the moment. They have the Pit, which is giving a breath of fresh air to the fighting world, and it has celebrities all over the joint, and Bas Rutten and GSP have been doing commentating stints on there too. And with Rockhold's win over Schilling, Bisping has said on a live stream that he wants the trilogy fight in Karate Combat.
Do your trilogy with Luke in Karate Combat. I would. Karate Combat. Give me a shout. I'll fight Luke. We'll do the trilogy. One last time. Still got one left in the tank. Come on, make me some offers, people. I will have a trilogy with Luke Rockhold in Karate Combat. I'd do it 100%, I would.
Now, if you are Luke Rockhold, you should be doing everything possible to stir the pot to get that fight with Bisping. I mean, Rockhold he has the golden opportunity here. He has versatile striking, speed, the experience now in the pit, and he has the activity over Bisping. And then when we look at Bisping's best part of his game was, emphasize the was, his movement and definitely his cardio. His cardio was fantastic. And his kickboxing, which his kickboxing style would play well in Karate Combat, but the cardio and especially the movement today would just not be there. I mean, he's been out for about 7 or 8 years since 2017, and overall, it's just definitely not a good idea for Bisping. He's had 2 knee replacement surgeries, and to point out the obvious, he's missing an eye. And on top of that, after his last fight getting brutally finished by Kelvin Gastelum in 2017 with a left hook, Bisping stated that he was getting dark flashes in his only eye, so there is a risk to him being completely blind if he continued fighting. And that's not only an issue in terms of his career, that's an issue in terms of his whole entire well-being and his livelihood. Now, Bisping has been out of the game for such a long time, as I said, about 7 or 8 years. And I honestly think that he has one of the most legendary Hall of Fame careers in MMA history as it is, easily, which doesn't need anything else added to it. I mean, he's got such a fantastic life at the moment in terms of doing the commentating for the UFC. He's got a family. And I mean, we look at his career. I mean, he's gone from prison. He had a little prison stint back in his early days, getting into a bar fight brawl, to then getting rejected from the army because of it, to then landing a spot on the Ultimate Fighter Season 3 and winning it, and then working through 28 fights, including his 2 exhibition fights on the Ultimate Fighter, to finally win the title on short notice against Luke Rockhold, and he absolutely cleaned Luke Rockhold up in their second fight after Luke choked him out with the guillotine in their first fight. So they've had an amazing back and forth, but when we look at trilogies, I mean, yeah, trilogy storylines are great, but honestly, out of Bisping's health, it's just not worth it for this one. But for Luke Rockhold and the way his career path has gone, this is definitely a fight that would allow him to go out on top. So he should be doing everything in his power to get this fight across the line. Now, when we look at timelines, possibly as a timeline for Luke Rockhold, if he decides to fight one more time after Bisping, which I don't think he should. I think that's the perfect swan song for him to go out. But the one other guy that humiliated him badly early on was Vitor Belfort with that spinning wheel kick from hell when he came into the UFC. And Vitor isn't even retired yet. Somehow he has almost been fighting for 30 years. I believe it would be about 28 years now because he debuted in 1996. But yeah, he's still at it. I mean, last fight he had was last year. I believe it was last year. He had a boxing fight against Jacare Souza, which he won by unanimous decision. So you got to say he still does have it to a certain degree. And ultimately, if Luke Rockhold can do everything in his power to secure a fight with Michael Bisping, because I do definitely think that he will win it. And not only that, I honestly think he would finish Bisping if they fought again. He's got the speed, he's got the fitness, he's got the activity as well. And I think overall all of that with the inactivity of Bisping and just the amount of damage Bisping has taken over the years and the amount of fights that he has, I think that Luke Rockhold at this stage, I think he would KO Bisping. And then after that, he would fight Vitor Belfort in either karate combat or over at Masvidal's Gamebred Boxing, because Vitor Belfort is signed to them at the moment. And even though Belfort is, 8 years older, I mean, he still poses a bit of a threat to Luke Rockhold, but being 8 years older, he's 50. He's almost 50. He's 47 now. And when he fought Jacare, don't get me wrong, he is an MMA legend. He's a fantastic fighter and was fantastic in the UFC and throughout his whole entire career. But Jacare is a grappling-based fighter first. He has a BJJ-based. He's that first and foremost, not a boxer. And when you look at Luke Rockhold comparatively, Luke Rockhold has the speed, the movement, and the striking versatility advantage over Belfort, especially at this point in their careers. So I think Luke would take not only the Michael Bisping fight, but I think he would take the Vitor Belfort fight too. And honestly, if it's a 5-round karate combat main event, I believe it's 5 rounds, then I think he would finish Vitor Belfort as well. And with both of these wins, he will have definitely fully redeemed his career, and it would be a satisfying way to ultimately end his fighting career for good. And speaking of hypothetical fighter timelines, if you haven't already, check out my hot take video where I break down what should and could be next for Colby Covington, which I've just got on the screen right here. And if you enjoyed the video and want to see more MMA based content, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.